Beautiful sunny day. A little chilly today. But is it chilly for you is the question.
It's getting there. I mean, not too bad.
Yeah, so this is my friend Delta. He is from, where are you from?
Fairbanks, Alaska, born and raised.
Fairbanks, Alaska, born and raised. What do you think here about all these mountains that we have?
Oh, there's so many, so many mountains, you know. You can see so far with them.
Welcome to the Red River Valley of North Dakota. A land flowing with milk and honey. You're watching Beet Farmin Mitch. So he's tagging along with me this week. He's on vacation actually. And yeah, visiting the farm this week. And so we got a combine here. And so we're gonna run through the internals of a combine harvester quick.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So we got our combine header here, right? This is a pickup header. It's called a pickup header because it picks up stuff on the ground, right? This has already been harvested. So normally these fingers come here, rake it up. Obviously that's chaff, so that's been harvested. And this is for pinto beans. And it goes in there and it goes through something called the feeder house. You see the feeder house there?
I see the feeder house.
Yep, so it goes through there. And that's kind of under the cab of the combine harvester. Goes through the feeder house, and then after it goes through the feeder house, this is kind of the cool part. There's something called the rotor, right? And so the rotor is this giant cylinder here, and it spins really fast in there. For wheat, it's like 1,000 RPMs. Pinto beans, it's like 290, 300, because we don't want to like split the beans in half. We talked about that earlier. So you can take a peek in there, and you can see the cages there. That's like where the beans fall through, and a lot of the chaff goes through up through the back. If we come to the back here, this little slot here, you can see the sieves and the chopper. So that's the chopper, so the chaff that makes it through all the way through the rotor, and the beans fall through the cage. Chaff goes through here, that gets chopped up in the thing called the chopper. And these are the sieves, and there's basically, they shake back and forth and wind blows through them to pull the chaff out the back and catch the beans in the bottom. So you can take a peek in there, Delta.
Take a peek.
We call them Delta because from a town called Delta Junction, which actually you live and grew up north of North Pole. Is this true?
Close.
So North Pole is a town, right?
It is a town,
Yeah.
yes. But there is actually the real North Pole up in the Arctic.
And so after that, it goes through these, and these are straw spreaders, and they basically spread the straw. So
Makes sense.
that's basically how a combine operates. And then the grain goes up in the hopper up there, and then obviously we unfold the auger, and that augers it out. So there you go.
Tour, man.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Delta, how's it going? Climbing the mountain. What do you think of the view from up here?
It's a very nice view.
You can see a lot when it's flat.
I can see my house from here.
So, Mr. Alaska Man, what do you think of this?
It's very satisfying.
Ooh, satisfying to watch, huh?
Yeah. It's like a really big lawnmower.
40 feet at a time.
40 feet at a time. And it brings in money, not excess grass.
Very true, very true. So we are actually straight combining these, or direct cutting, or whatever you want to call it. Some people have asked me about that before on the channel, why we don't do more of this. Well, there's a few reasons. We've had some problems running this so far.
A few.
Yes, what have been our issues?
We've had canvases filling up with dirt and straw, and we've had sickle teeth breaking.
Yep, sickle teeth, hit some rock or something and bust your teeth out. But things are going good now. We're each enjoying a bubbler. Good old caffeinated sparkling water, and yeah, it's going pretty good here for the most part. But yeah, so we're flex cutting these, and one of the things about this too is you actually have some loss. There's a couple beans that sprinkle, like shatters on the sickle, so that's usually not ideal. But you know, for some of these smaller pieces that are odd shaped, it's not too bad. It works out okay, so it's worth it for some of it. But yeah. So on the front there, we got a silver air bar. So basically that just blows air. That helps blow the beans into the header instead of them falling off the sickle. So they're all getting fed in nice. And yeah, quality is excellent here. Very nice beans. Can't ask for much better crop than that. So what was your impression of farming before you came out to visit here? Or farmers, for that matter?
I mean, I can't really say I had much of an impression. There is some farming where I'm from. Definitely not anything to this scale or production level. But most of it, there's a couple like, you know, cattle around. There's a little bit of farming, but again, it's not anything of any kind of size. This is my first experience of a large farm and being in any of this kind of equipment.
Yeah.
So it's honestly just pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like that's if you're looking for an impression, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think so too.
So, Beet Farmin Mitch.
Yes.
You were gonna tell me about drain tile earlier today, and then we got a little distracted. So, what exactly is drain tile?
So yes, so drain tile, Garrett. Great question. So I mentioned drain tile. I was like, oh wait, we should film that because that's kind of cool.
Yeah, obviously.
So this field is drain tiled, and so drain tile is basically like big. Well, we're kind of going through a ditch here, and I mean you can't really tell anyway. But drain tile is basically big plastic pipes in the ground that go back and forth. They're like spaced like 30 feet apart. I mean, it changes based on what you want in your field and stuff. But drain tile, what it does is it helps take excess moisture out of the soil, because there's like these pipes that go back and forth along the field and along the headlands. They have little perforations in them. It's like, it's similar to like around your house, you have a sump pump, and usually there's like pipes around your house that suck all the water to the sump pump hole. And so these pipes that have holes in them, basically the water goes into there, and then the water drains through these pipes out the field. So if your field is like full of like water, it'll help soak through the soil and soak that water away, excess water. But it's like a sponge. Soil is like a sponge, right? So if you have a sponge fully soaked with water, right, and it's dripping, that's too much water that the sponge can't hold. But if it's not dripping and it's still full of water, that is like the level that the drain tile takes it down to. Field capacity is what that is called. Yeah, it takes water where you don't need, but it doesn't take water where you do need.
And so if you didn't drain tile a field that actually needs it, does that flood the crops then? They go bad? Like what happens then?
Yeah, it's just not as productive because the crops can't keep up. If it's, you know, then like you could see in the beginning there when I first started talking, went through a ditch and that was drowned out there. Basically there would be more spots like that.
Gotcha.
So we actually have salts in some of the soils around here. We call it alkali, and it helps flush some of those salts out of the soil so the ground is more productive. So basically it helps your crops be more productive by not being saturated with too much water and drowning out. And it helps your soil become better because it flushes the salts out of the soil, and plants don't like that salt in the soil. So those are kind of the main reasons, and it totally transforms the field, and it makes things better. So, and we don't have irrigation pivots around here. I mean, you might see an odd one or two for the potato guys, but we get enough rain typically, hopefully, not always. Last year we didn't, for the crops to be able to produce. It's called dry land farming, which is what a majority of it is. So.
And are there crops that are, you know, more susceptible to like the effects of not being drain tiled? Like, is wheat or?
I would say so. These are pinto beans. I would say these are very susceptible to too much water. If you get too much water, you'll really see it in these. Where like, if you have like corn, it might be able to handle it a little bit better than this would. So, but the corn will still probably be stunted in growth too, and be less productive. But I'd say you typically see it more in dry beans. They're a little more susceptible. And they're more susceptible if there's not enough rain too. So these are kind of a specialty crop, and
just a little more volatile overall when it comes to like risky for how your water is set up basically.
Yeah, pretty much. there's a rock there.
Well, that'll do it.
Pioneers used to ride those babies for miles. Well, we were going along here and all of a sudden I heard something rattling. I have a sickle tooth broken, so that's kind of a downside. Actually, there's 2 of them here broken, so I'll have to fix those. So that's kind of a downside of straight combining dry beans, is you gotta fix sickle teeth. If you hit the smallest rock or something, it'll just bust that puppy. So that's kind of a downside of it, and it takes longer and there's more shatter. I can show you guys this real quick, but you can see on the ground here there's some pinto beans laying here, and that's just from the pods getting sliced and from the sickle. So Delta's got my tools for me. We're getting pretty good at this. It's not quite as bad now, so we're gonna get this fixed up and keep rolling. Well, looks like one tooth broke and it caused a couple others bolts to break, but we got her fixed up now, so we're gonna keep on rolling. Okay, the moment of truth. Did we fix it? Looks like it. Good to go. Well, that was one fickle sickle, but we're carrying on. You know what happens when I open this door to the grain tank?
What happens to the door?
All the beans come splashing out. Ah! Trivia time. What are those?
It's corn! Sugar beets, I joke.
He knows, he knows.
Sugar beets.
There's a fox. Zoom in. Sorry, it's not a polar bear.
Darn.
So as far as straight combining goes, there's some letters here on the left and some numbers on the right. I've been kind of running my down pressure on 2.5 to 3, somewhere in there. And I've been running the tilt forward backwards, all the way forward and up a little bit, and just kind of so the sickle teeth are running, because you don't want to be busting sickle teeth, as we have learned. It isn't super fun.
We're not supposed to do that?
No, we're not supposed to.
We did that in abundance yesterday, though.
We did, yes. Old yards, there's a couple rocks laying around.
Oh, okay.
So fun fact, Red River Valley is very heavy in potatoes, at least especially the northern part here. And so there's a potato harvester driving by there. And I'm going fairly slow, 2.9, 3 miles an hour. Just make sure we get a good, nice cut. I mean, it's a nice clean shape here, and that's what you want. You still have some sickle lot. There is some sprinkling of beans here. Not much you can do about it. It's just when you combine them this way, that's just what it is. But you gotta have a little of everything and see what works here. But hey, I know them. You guys have Hidden Valley Ranch up there?
It's sold in our stores, yeah.
Okay, I figured. Is that like a big deal up there?
I mean, it's probably as big of a deal as it is anywhere else. It's a fairly common dressing from what I have seen.
How do you use it?
I like to smother everything in it.
Okay, there we can relate. Pizza? Is that a popular thing? Pizza and ranch?
So that is something I used to do. Since my adult restrictions have required me to change my diet,
okay,
I have stepped away from that part.
Yes, yes. What's your perception of the lower 48?
Y'all are smaller than us.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. That's funny because when you look at a map, you know you see Alaska in the corner, but Alaska is actually massive. I saw an Alaska meme one time when I was up there. It was like a super detailed picture of Alaska, and then there's a tiny lower 48 picture in the corner.
I mean, that's pretty much the size.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like 18 times the size of everybody. So.
Yeah.
But we do have the northernmost high school football team also, the Barrow Whalers.
Barrow Whalers.
They have a blue artificial field, and they play right next to the Arctic Ocean. Their football field is not at one spot, I believe it is not 30 feet from the ocean. And what they will do after they win a homecoming game or I don't know if it's a home game period or if it's like a special event tradition type thing, but after they win, they will, in their football gear, they will just run straight into the Arctic Ocean.
Really?
And just they won't stay in there for a long time, but they'll stay in there long enough to dunk their whole bodies underwater and stuff. Surprise, surprise, it's the Arctic Ocean. It's not warm.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
It is definitely freezing temperatures if if not colder in some spots.
Yeah, polar plunge. There you go. In the Midwest, I'm used to like seeing a football field with like a combine rolling in the background. You know, like that's the parallel there.
Yeah. They would probably have like maybe a whale jumping up in the background of their football games.
Right.
That'd be pretty cool. I don't know if that actually happens or not. I would just say that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we made it.
We made it.
We made it. We survived. We have all our fingers after all those sickle teeth. Fear not. I take extreme caution when working around them, as do you.
Yes, I do.
So, highlight. Have you had any highlights of this adventure?
This adventure, breaking down constantly yesterday was interesting. Getting to see the actual scale of this amazing little farming area. Like, never got to see anything like that before, so getting to see the massive scale of everything was really cool for me. And also the yellow sunsets are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet. I liked watching that sun just kind of go down. And
yeah, golden hour, dust hanging from the combine.
Oh yeah, the dust just doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It gives you like a really like you honestly could film a couple different types of movies with that sunset and that dust. Like,
yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Or a YouTube channel.
Perhaps. Conveniently. Do you know anybody?
Well, anyway, this is Beet Farmin Mitch and
Delivery Guy Delta.
And don't forget to keep it sweet.